Happy Pride, happy weekend. Got a good, well, hopefully it's a good story for you today. But canting to push a story about Belfast, beginnings of Belfast, which incorporates a very important part of Irish history. The main reason why I'm doing this story is practically it's extremely hard to explain our complicated bloody history. When I say bloody, there's a bloody past to Belfast, you can imagine. And then, yeah, so basically, I'm just trying to get a story to summarise it as quick as I can, especially for people coming in that don't understand our history. It's very complicated. So hopefully, visitors and locals will enjoy this story. It's called The Beginnings of Belfast, and it's very history based. I do have another story I've created called The Birth of Belfast, and it's more childlike and more myths and stuff. This is history. So the story I'm going to be telling you is very much historical. But what I find is that with history, you can lose people, dates, buildings, this and that. So I'm trying to summarise the history of Belfast. Before I start, it's Kathy Dillon. I'll ask who to do another story for you. Then Liz Weird's clicked that stories are way better than history, and yeah, anyway. And then thirdly, it's my youngest nephew's birthday today, birthday party, Connell. I'm sure a bit of history are our names, and hopefully he's going to enjoy stories when he's older. I might write a few stories about him, Connell and Connor, Crusades. Anyway, the history story I'm going to talk today about is three main periods. So you're talking about the 9 Year War, 1593 to 1603. Second of all is the flying of the Earls, roughly 1607, and then the Ulster Plantation, 1613. So should be something of interest for everybody. So start off with the power threes and stories. So that's the number three. Can't say TH's speech impediment. So I'm going to start off with the main character. So the main character in this story is going to be a man called Arthur Chichester. I'm going to say it's the ABC of Belfast. Arthur, Baron of Belfast, Chichester. If you want to be a bit pedantic, you can say there's a D. D could stand for Donegal. So again, all these names are around us. For people from Belfast, you'll know these names. So basically, in 1593, when Irish chieftains have had enough, Irish chieftains had enough of paying the taxes. No more taxes to be paid. So they decide to go on revolt. So this is the start of the 9 Year War against the English rule in Ireland. It's basically 9 Year War. One of the first battles was the Battle of the Biscuits. The Battle of Biscuits happened in my forefathers' backyard. It's another story for another day, but I have a link to this history, which is why I love it. Basically, Arthur Chichester would have been in the Americas, travelling with Francis Drake while the war was starting. Francis Drake was, of course, the man that brought the potato down in Wales. Another story, another day. But basically, Arthur Chichester's father was an MP. He was also in the military, so he's very well linked and had a future within the British Empire, or the English Empire as it was. And he actually commanded the HMS Lark in the Battle of the Spanish Armada. So very, very important man. But while he was travelling, his brother was left to look after Carrickfergus. Carrickfergus was the main port in Ulster, not Belfast. Belfast at that time was marshland. So Carrickfergus was the main port, this main place of political sort of control of Ulster, if you could have control of Ulster back then. Anyway, during the 9 Year War, 1593, 1603, one of the big battles was the Battle of Carrickfergus. The Battle of Carrickfergus happened in 1597. And guess who was in charge of Carrickfergus Castle? John Chichester, Arthur's brother. So Arthur's won all his accolades and travelled around the world. Poor John's left in charge of Ulster. What do you think happens? James McSorley MacDonald and his clan, the MacDonald clan, attacked the castle. A lot of the clans are attacking castles and places where the English are ruling Ireland. It results in a very bloody moment where John Chichester gets his head cut off and played like a football. I'm sitting down so I couldn't do the actions of a kick. So basically, Arthur's travelling, finds out about John, and what do? They send Arthur to come and take his place. So you can imagine Arthur arrives in Ireland, full of revenge, full of hate, potentially. He needs to get the native Irish under control. So he brings in a very controversial sort of strategy. It's called the scorched earth strategy, where the natives' lands was burnt. On top of this, in letters, he says, 1,000,000 swords will not do them so much harm as one winter's famine. So basically he was using the land against the people to wipe them out. So a lot of bad blood going on. In fact, I think 2 years before Belfast became a town in 1613, Arthur Chester had 2 very well known bishops killed and executed. One of them was a very well respected Conor O'Defany. So a lot of bad blood in this period between the English and the Irish. What results is a success for Arthur. So basically Arthur wins the 9-Year War. For historic fans, you might know the Battle of Kinsale. That was all in the same time. So I'm not going to go into that. But basically what happened after was you had a void. You had what was known as the Flight of the Earls. And this is when Ulster completely changed forever. Any resistance into Ireland usually got the most resistance from Ulster. Depending where you came from, Ulster was seen as the strong point of Ireland. Still is. Anyway, after this battle, what you had was the Flight of the Earls. This is when all the main chieftains leave Ireland. A lot of reports go back and find reinforcements, go to Portugal, go to Spain, go to these places, get more war, get more men. Got to remember it's a 9-Year War as well. So basically what happens in a 9-Year War is you might need a holiday. That's me suggesting, by the way. It's a joke. Basically after that, England knew that Ireland was weak, Ulster was weak. And then what was happening was Arthur Chichester, Lord Deputy of Ireland, was given the lands of Belfast. He actually officially becomes Baron of Belfast in 1613. And this is when the town is created. 2 years before that, he rebuilds Belfast Castle in 1611. So very much the beginnings of Belfast is Arthur, Baron of Belfast, Chichester. An extremely bloody period of history. After that, with the Ulster Scots coming into Belfast, industrialisation and shipbuilding, the town never grew as fast. Became as prosperous, one of the best cities in the world for different industries. So the moral of this story, if there's a moral, it's just a history story. It's basically, even after our own small recent bit of bloody history, that the new Belfast can prosper. The new Belfast can reflect on its history and move on. Both cultures, British and Irish. It's happened before, it'll happen again. Up the Belfast.